sisters.
Hello.
As most of you know, I went to Kauai with my family a few weeks ago on spring break. And some of you have asked for me to share that experience with you and tell you all the things that we did. So I'm going to indulge you with what we did on Kauai. On Kauai, we reconnected with Ohana. The Hawaiian language has some beautiful words that infuse common words with a deeper, stronger meaning. Ohana is one of those words. Ohana doesn't mean just your family, your immediate family, your mom, your dad, your sister, brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, and grandparents. But it also means the bond that exists between family members. It defines who you are, where you come from, and what you're about. So I often tell my husband that we just need to go out and do things as a family, go around Sacramento, see the sights, explore Northern California. I just feel that lots of times the sports and the activities and the chores clutter that bonding time for us. So I felt this was a perfect opportunity. We didn't know what to expect when we got to Kauai. I'd never been, my husband had never been, obviously the kids had never been. We had some other ideas of what we wanted to do, and we just didn't know what to expect. So we went ahead and booked a timeshare through our timeshare company. The description of the place made it sound like a fantastic resort. It was anything but. We were in a condo complex in which 6 units were vacation rentals, and the rest of the units on the property were people who lived and worked in Kauai, which made it quite interesting. The pool didn't even work. It was under construction. So the kids didn't really want to get into the pool. So it was sort of that Lampoon vacation. Started to, for a glimpse, I saw this Lampoon vacation. It was like booking a vacation rental in Sacramento and ended up in a condo on Watt Avenue. But the Hawaiian Islands often have a way of showing you how to make lemonade out of your lemons. And the condo itself was okay as a home base. It was clean, it was somewhat quiet. It was a room enough for all of us. So we chose to explore the island and find our own postcard locations. And as we did, we literally drove to the ends of the roads. We literally drove to the road where the road ends on the northern part of the island. We drove to where the road ends on the western part of the island, and we drove as far inland as we could. One of the cool aspects of Kauai is that the highway does not encircle, as small of the island as it is, it does not encircle the island. There's a gap of about 15 or 20 miles on the Nepali coast that you can only get to by boat, helicopter, or hiking. So we made it our mission to reach the limits of where we could travel by automobile. We saw and visited breathtaking scenes, Waileulea Mountain, of beaches where we saw spouting whales off in the distance. We discovered secluded coves with protected beaches. We went deep into the rainforest where we tried to swing on thick vines like Tarzan. There we go. We stopped at some stone developments that legends say were sacred sites established by the Menehune, an ancient people who had been on the islands before the Polynesians arrived. We wandered around the remnants of a Russian fort. That's the Stonehenge of the Menehune. We got to feed goats on a train, and here's the Russian fort. We got to walk around the Russian fort. That was supposed to have been the initial wave of Russians on the Hawaiian Islands. Now, could you imagine that? If the Hawaiians, or had the Russians gotten to Hawaii first. Sure, we did a lot of tourist activities. We had surf lessons. We zip-lined in the jungle. We cruised the Nepali coast and watched humpback whales and dolphins as we snorkeled with the tortoises. We also did a little shopping. It was wandering around and getting lost. vacation that brought us together as a family. The exploring, the discovering, the being together that I've missed when we've been out and about, baseball games, soccer games, school activities. And that bond suddenly started to magically reappear. I reconnected with Ohana. We reconnected with Ohana. And our sense of Ohana grew each and every day of that week. I can say that we recharged our Ohana. I knew we were in the Ohana zone when we were traveling through the Waimea Canyon, which is also called the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. Waimea Canyon has 3 major lookout points that provide spectacular views of the valley. And Wailea, the largest mountain on the island, gets 400 plus inches of rain a year, the wettest spot on the planet. And maybe we should find a way to get some of that water to go. Anyways, we were coming back down from the 19-mile trek up the valley from the farthest lookout. My oldest son, JT, is 14, asked if we could go back to the first lookout. Now, those of you with teenagers will immediately recognize the unusual aspect to that request. First, he actually wanted to do something with his family. And secondly, he was actually expressing interest about surroundings. And third, he couldn't appreciate that if he was on his phone. So we hightailed it back to the first lookout, and he and I got out of the car and we walked up to the viewing point. There wasn't anyone else there but us. We didn't say much to each other. And yet I knew in that moment that we were connected to each other and the magnificent scenery surrounding us. It was one of the many Ohana moments that I had during the week that I cherished. We scooted back down the valley, back to a wide open beach that featured some locals, drinking beer and homeless folks setting up camp on the beach. There, my husband and I watched the gorgeous Hawaiian sunset as JT and his younger brother Josh body surfed, yelling and carrying on like otters. We left when it got dark and made our way down to a little hole-in-the-wall Simon noodle place where the locals swear by. Really great. From the Grand Canyon to an empty beach, at sunset to a $30 noodle dinner, we were fueled by Ohana, happy and satisfied to be a family again. And that's what I did on Wednesday. And I brought back some macadamia nuts that we'd like somebody to